Hi, folks. I'm Gene McLaughlin. I'd like to welcome you to Old Bridge Outlook with Mayor Owen Henry. On this program, we have an opportunity to talk to you about things taking place in the township and to introduce you to people making things happen in the township. And today, we are delighted to welcome a very distinguished gentleman. He's the Grand Marshal of a Memorial Day Parade, John Olivera. John, welcome. Great to have you with us.
Thank you for your service.
Great to have you with us. And John, if you give the mayor and I just a moment, we can get back and hear about your adventures.
Absolutely.
But we got to hear first of the mayor is spending money.
Well,
Mayor,
gee,
tell us about the capital budget.
We have a lot of projects planned for this year. Notably is the Ticetown Road improvement that's going to get resurfaced from Wisdom Way all the way down to Higgins Road, and that's been in need since I became the mayor 6 years ago. Yeah. So with the help of a grant and some contribution from the town, we're able to do that long stretch of roadway, along with all our other paving and curbing and drainage improvement projects. So there's going to be a lot going on again over the summer. So I just ask all the residents to be patient. Tune into, check out the website. We're going to be putting bulletins out there in case there's any road closures. And if anybody has any questions, please contact the engineering department, and they can tell you when that project is scheduled. But we can't wait to get these projects started, and the sooner they start, the sooner they're completed, and it makes such a difference, Gene, when you go down these roads. We've done all these improvements, and everybody's housing value goes up, quality of life goes up. Unfortunately, the speeding goes up on these new roads because they don't have the big craters in them. But it's the kickoff of a very busy part of our.
And good weather too, hopefully.
Well, yes, it stopped snowing. It was crazy. Monday was like 41. And I think Wednesday and Thursday was 91.
I know.
So that's a pretty severe, drastic swing in temperature. And we took the plows off the trucks. I can assure you.
So
it's
that's
not
a win.
Snow
That's
again.
a win right there.
That's a win. But this year, we have November and December to worry about. But we're excited about the summer with all the programs going on, and looking forward to the Memorial Day. Not a celebration, but our parade, and when we honor our vets. I believe it's one of the best days here. I think it's a signature event here for our town, and I would encourage everyone to line that parade route. Show the respect for our soldiers who defend our rights here, and elections where you can elect somebody like me. It doesn't happen all over the world, and honor guys like John. I think we have a responsibility to come out on Memorial Day.
I agree,
show
Mayor.
our respect, and get together as a community, and so I look forward to it every year.
And as you say, we're going to honor John Olivera today. And folks, we're going to chat with John a little bit, as I said on the introduction. He is the Grand Marshal of the Parade this year. John, could you give us a little background, please? Where were you born? Where did you live early on?
Well, I was born in Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
At the time, the economy was flopping, and there was no jobs, nothing was available. So my parents got the word that if they went to New York, they might get some work or some jobs. So I guess I was about 6 months old. We moved to New York. While in New York, I lived there about another 6 months. My father, with his carpenter skills, landed a job in Port Newark working on the ships. So we moved to New Jersey, and I've been here ever since I've been 1 year
And I
old.
saw in your bio that you graduated from one of Newark schools.
I did. I graduated from Central High School in Newark in 1959. And I went to several grammar schools in Newark. I went to Ridge Street School. I went to Our Lady of Good Counsel in Newark. And finally on.
And what led you into the Navy? I see in your bio again that you enlisted in the Navy.
I did.
Why the enlistment and why the Navy?
Well, my dad was in World War II. He fought at the Battle of the Bulge and so
That's
forth
incredible.
and so on. And he thought that I might not like sleeping in a foxhole. So he suggested to me,
keep your feet.
Join the Navy, or you might want to be more interested in something like that. And so finally, I listened to Dad, and I followed him up on that, and I joined the Navy, and that was my beginning with that.
And you went through Great Lakes?
Yes, I graduated from Great Lakes Basic Training. And I went on to, I was assigned to the USS Intrepid.
How did you catch that assignment, John? That had to be a plum assignment, the Intrepid, no?
Well,
or was it just luck of the draw?
Just luck of the draw, yeah. I didn't know that at the time.
Right,
but,
sure.
Find out what a historical ship it was. It was a fantastic ship. And today it's currently the Sea, Air, and Space Museum in New York City.
Yes, sir.
and which I still am involved in as a volunteer over there in the exhibit explaining.
Right.
So with the history of that ship and the education and the science involved with it, it was a home run for me. So I really enjoyed it.
John, you mentioned to me when we chatted off the air that you had very intriguing sea duty too. This was the time of the Cold War
Yes, sir.
with the Russians. What was taking place on the Intrepid at this time? Where were you patrolling?
Well, we were patrolling basically in the Mediterranean. So I guess we did maybe about 8 months of our period of time that we were over there in the Intrepid. And we were followed by Russian trawlers.
Were you really?
Yeah, we didn't really know what they were. I'm sure the officers in charge knew what was going on, but you know, down the line, all we saw was fishing boats. That's the most we knew about it. So we paid attention and did our thing. And day in and day out, the aircraft would be flying. We'd be flying daytime, nighttime, and to keep on the patrol.
But you never had any confrontations at that time with the Russians?
No, we didn't.
Never materialized?
No.
John, how did you train pilots? What was your MOS, your specialty?
Well, the qualification is probably a better term. We qualified pilots to land and launch from aircraft carriers, which was very important. And in the Mediterranean at the time, there was always two. I don't know what the current situation is, but there's always 2 American aircraft carriers in the Mediterranean at all times. And at the time, we would be training Army, Navy, Marines to land and take off just in case of emergency. If all in combat and we lost the planes we have, the Army, Navy, or Marines, anybody could come in and land. They were qualified to do that. So this would go on day and night, and the big did practice, and that's what we did.
You know, Mayor, that sounds like a daunting task, doesn't it, to land an airplane on a moving target
From what
in
I
the middle
still
of the
see
ocean?
on the shows, it's probably the hardest thing to do is to land
Absolutely.
a plane on an aircraft carrier. They look big, but when you're coming in on a plane trying to hook that little hook on that cable, it's still the most difficult task.
Yeah, on something that's moving, a moving
Something
target,
that's
bobbing
moving
up
and rocking
down
and going up
rocking
and down.
Yeah.
And they have the lights, and we've seen the shows.
And they come in at 125 to 150 miles an hour, and they've got to catch that hook. There's 5 cables, and they've got their hook. Catch one or back up and around again. And
you see them flooring it if they miss. Yeah.
And if you run out of gas, you got to hope that you're near a land base. So you can
go someplace else, huh?
Because you ain't going to make it here.
And it takes quite a while to master that.
Absolutely.
And then after a while, they do it with their eyes closed, I guess. But it takes hundreds of landings. And
day and night.
Day and night. And nighttime. Nighttime's got to be.
Oh, it's got to be absolutely hairy. Try that. John, how many planes were on that ship at the time?
Well, on the Intrepid, we probably had about 70 to 80 jet aircraft. I would think we had 6 to 8 single-engine prop type aircraft.
Really?
Yeah, we had helicopters on board, and we had one of those, I used to call it the Woolly Fudd. It had a big dome on top with the radar and the sonar, and we had one of those guys on board as well. So it was a pretty good contingent for our ship.
Okay, another interesting thing I think that we had talked about is you served as the recovery ship for astronaut Carpenter.
That's correct.
Tell us about that. That had to be intriguing. Was that, again, an assignment your ship had to pick him up, or you were just one of the fleet? Or
No, we were assigned to be the recovery ship for astronaut Scott Carpenter.
Right.
And so we went to the Mediterranean, to the Caribbean to practice. And Intrepid wanted to be authentic. So what we did was they looked for a member of the crew that was named Carpenter, so we could put him in a life raft and practice picking him up. But there was nobody named Carpenter, so they took the ship's carpenter. They threw him in the life raft.
Okay, I like that. That's good.
And we practiced picking him up for a couple of days, And during my duties on the flight deck, I was suddenly summoned down to the sick bay, and I didn't know why. And when I got to sick bay, it was full of officers and corpsmen that were in there. And they said, what we need is people to stand by for Scott Carpenter in case he's injured. We need people with the same blood type.
Right, you mentioned
and
that.
out of 3,600 crew members on board, there were only 11 that had the same blood type, and I was one of them, So they gave me a no work pass. I wasn't for 3 days. I was not allowed to work. I was allowed to hurt myself. I was not allowed to bleed. And they said, okay, you can go back to your division now. And when I walked out in the hall, I had to stop and think, well, what just happened here?
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the blood type? And
AB.
AB, and that's a rare type.
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
So we recovered Scott Carpenter. The thing with the Scott Carpenter actually splashed down about 250 miles downwind from our ship, and so many of the surrounding ships wanted to get there first and get them, but they forgot we had helicopters on board that could do over 100 miles an hour. And we got down, we picked up Scott Carpenter, we brought him back to the ship. And so it was a great time. President John F. Kennedy spoke to us over the loudspeakers from the White House. They patched him in, commending us for doing a great job. And so 50 years later, they were celebrating Scott Carpenter on the Intrepid, 2012.
Right.
And because I was on board at that time,
Yes,
I was
sir.
asked to speak.
Right.
So I came on and I spoke, and I just wanted to remind Scott Carpenter that I had been standing by for the last 50 years just in case he needed my blood.
You're still in the book.
So,
Whatever happened to the carpenter?
I guess he's still on the ship somewhere.
John, was that those the days of the small capsules that he landed
Yes,
in?
correct. Yes.
That John Glenn and Shepard and those guys were in?
Correct, yeah.
Wow.
They were Mercury caps. It was single.
Yeah, Aurora 7 Mercury program.
The Mercury
correct,
program, yeah. Yeah, we were just talking, Mayor, John and I, off the air about the original 7 astronauts, how brave they were.
Well, we have our schools here in Old Bridge.
I know,
Carpenter School,
we
go
have living
there.
testimonial. I think, I lived in Old Bridge for a long time, for 38 years, and I think one time Carpenter visited
Yes.
Carpenter School.
Did he really?
Yeah, my
Yeah.
kids went to Carpenter School, and I almost remember him visiting back then.
Yeah, I saw pictures over the last
the
time he
60s,
was there. He didn't make it the last. They had another anniversary. He didn't make that one, I think, but he was there for at one time.
Yeah. John, what kind of man was Carpenter? You were pretty close to him. You have some pictures of yourself with him.
I do, yeah.
Particularly 50 years later, he's changed a lot from being a rather
As
handsome-looking
we all
man.
did, yeah.
As we all have.
John still looks great.
Yeah, John still looks good.
Thank you, sir.
Out of the three of
John looks
us,
good. Right, he does.
you win.
Well,
What kind of man was he?
he was an exceptionally smart man, very smart. He wasn't just an astronaut, he was also an aquanaut. What he did was when he was done with the space orbit, because he orbited the Earth 3 times, and when he splashed down from there, he went into the aquanaut business. He was in the sea lab. To this day, I think he still holds the record
Really?
for 30 days under the sea in the sea lab. And so he holds that distinction of being not only an astronaut, but an aquanaut as well.
Was that his only mission, the mission you picked him up? Did he go into space any other time,
No,
or was
he
that
did
pretty
not,
much
no.
it?
That was his only time, yeah.
Didn't he become ill, or didn't he have a condition of something? Didn't he have a heart condition or something
Well, he passed.
contracted?
He passed in 2013. I think it was from a stroke that he
Okay.
had. So he had some issues, but he was a smart man, a very nice fella. I really enjoyed his company. My whole family, we had lunch with him on the Intrepid, and then we had such a great afternoon. I got to meet fellow astronauts that were
Right.
with him. I got to meet his daughter was there. Of course, my daughters were there, and my son-in-law and so forth, my
That
grandchildren.
must have been a nice experience, 50
Great.
50 years.
50-year anniversary, yeah.
Okay, John, we've come to a good point in our discussion. If you would hold just a moment. Folks, we're getting ready to take a break right now. We're talking with John Olivera, who has the honor of being the Grand Marshal of the Memorial Day Parade. Please stay with us, and we'll be back to talk to John some more.
Meet Darcy, a 2-year-old pit bull terrier. She loves to run around and play and is looking for someone who can keep up with her. Darcy walks well on a leash, but can be strong, so we recommend an experienced owner for her. Darcy craves attention and wants you all to herself, so she would do best as an only pet. This friendly girl is waiting for you at Oak Ridge Animal Shelter.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs? Just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
made her college years possible. Opening that education savings account when she was little, spearheading campus tours, and deciphering financial aid. If you can ace planning for college, you can do it for retirement. Get on track with tips at aceyourretirement.org.
Oh, look, a redhead. Staring contest. You still got it. I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
Folks, welcome back to Old Bridge Outlook with Mayor Owen Henry. We're talking with John Olivera, who is the Grand Marshal of the Memorial Day Parade. And John, if we can touch on one thing took place in your military career, sort of near the end of it, was the Cuban Missile Crisis. What happened?
The Intrepid was very briefly involved with that when I was in service, because I got out about the same time in 1962. We did spend some time in the at Guantanamo Bay, and kind of unfriendly atmosphere.
Sort of tense times,
yeah,
too.
you couldn't leave the base or anything like that.
Right.
So, but the Intrepid was prepared to help block the blockade if
Right.
necessary.
Yeah, that must have been tense days.
Yes.
Mayor, you're too young to remember that, I think, right?
I've read
Compared
about
to
it.
John and I, yeah.
Yeah, no.
But they were tense days. They really were tense days. John, you got out of the service then. You came back here, and you decided to end bachelorhood. You got married?
Yes. I actually married my high school sweetheart.
Really?
We
Nice
dated prior to the Navy. I went in the Navy, and of course you lose contact with folks. So there were a couple letters during
Sure.
that time, but not a whole lot until I got back out of the Navy. We reintroduced ourselves, and we from there on, we fell in love naturally, and we got married. And we raised 2 children through the Old Bridge school system.
Really?
Went to, in fact, one of the astronauts' name is Cooper School. I went through that, and of course the Old Bridge High
Okay.
School. And from there, that was my life there.
And how many grandchildren do you have now?
Right now, I have 3 grandchildren, and unfortunately, they don't live in this state.
They don't live close.
No.
So it's a bit of a
I
hike
do a lot
for you.
of traveling. Yeah.
A lot of traveling, yeah. They're adults now, I take it, huh?
Well, no, I have 2 that are 14, and one just turned 12.
Okay.
And I have another guy who's in Maryland. He's just turned 5.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Okay, good age.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, John, one thing I'd like you to talk a little bit about. You eventually became a police officer, first
Yes.
special cop here in Old Bridge, and then you joined the Winfield Park Police.
I did.
What
Yes.
led you to the police department?
Well,
History, background?
Yeah, I had a couple of uncles that were police officers, and
Yes, sir.
it kind of interested me, to see what's
Right.
going on. In fact, one of my uncles became the chief of police in Fairhaven, Massachusetts, and
Okay.
and I kind of got interested in that. And he used to show me around when I'd visit up there, and I got interested here in Old Bridge, and they had they put out the applications. They wanted more special police
Yes,
officers.
sir.
So I put my name in and went through the process and the screening, and I got hired as a special police officer here in Old Bridge Township, which I stayed for 24 years as a special
Yeah,
police
you
officer.
mentioned, yes, sir.
And during that time, I was also offered another job in the Winfield Township in Union County. And so at the time, I was working both jobs.
Really?
Yes, in Old Bridge Township and Winfield Township. And then, of course, they had the law came in where you couldn't work for 2 masters, so
Yes,
to
sir,
speak.
I
So
remember.
you can only work for 1 now. And so I stayed with the regular police, and I had to leave the Old Bridge special police, which was a 24-year term. And and so I worked so many different duties doing that, and I knew I enjoyed the work. I just wanted to be a part of the community, and it was great. So.
What's your greatest memory? 32 years. What's your greatest memory did you take away from 32 years of police work? The good, the bad, the...
Probably meeting everybody. You got to know everybody in town. You got to know all the folks.
Yes, sir.
You know, and if they saw you, they knew that you were coming to help them. You know, you weren't coming to harm them or anything. And I guess I really enjoyed that. And that's that went on with me and all the other volunteer type of work that I did in Old Bridge Township, even on the Intrepid today, as a volunteer exhibitor, explainer over there. I meet people from all over the world. And that's so interesting.
I bet you do. Yeah, that's got to be interesting.
It's really great. So
you know, Mayor, in talking with John about his work as a policeman, times have really changed. Him being a policeman, how tough it's got to be.
But the message is the same. I'm just going to say that.
Yes,
Gene.
yes, sir.
The reason you ask, well, why do you want to be a policeman? And these young men and women say, because I want to get involved with the community. They want to have contact with people.
Yes, sir.
And they want to have a positive impact on the community. Same thing that you found the best in your career.
Right.
The young people still want that.
You know,
So, but it's a different police officer nowadays.
Absolutely.
They're very smart.
yeah,
Yeah.
much better trained.
We're trying.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
But it's with the social media and the cameras, they're on
Right.
all the time. Can't have a bad day.
Well, to your point, I think the interesting thing here is Officer D'Onofrio, community police
Community
officer.
policing, yeah.
That seems to me to be a real breakthrough and a real, new initiative here in the township.
But a lot of our new young recruits, they want to get involved in the community.
Really?
They want to have that contact with people and help people.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
John, you also have a long and storied career here in town as a volunteer. And Mayor, you frequently refer to this town as a township of volunteers. We
A
couldn't run it
town
without
this size,
volunteers.
it is amazing that we have so many. We're so dependent upon our volunteers, our fire department,
Yeah.
some of our EMS.
Right.
We have the auxiliary police, which are all volunteers. We have our CERT program. We have just so many volunteers. And the youth organizations, all those coaches that volunteer.
Yeah, the coaches are amazing.
I don't know what we do without them.
I know.
I
That's
don't
got to be tough, the coaching part. John, you were head of the planning board at one time?
I was 5 years. I was the chairman, planning board chairman.
Chairman. That's the
And,
word I was looking for. Thank you.
It was a very busy time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot going on in Old Bridge. And I also served on the Water Authority.
Right.
I did some time on that until they merged into the MUA. I was on the zoning board. And as a special police officer, I was always part of the community. And I always enjoyed that.
You've given a lot of time to this community.
Thank you.
A lot of effort. John, what about the CAG? What does the CAG initial stand for? Community to
Community
fix up
Action Group. That's,
Community Action Group
yeah,
to fix
that's-
up the beachfront. What's
That's
happening
correct.
there?
Yeah, well, right now we're working with DEP and we're working with EPA, and there's probably a lot of things that the mayor doesn't want me to talk about with that yet because a lot of things are in contention. And but everybody's working. I think it's moving along great. It's the waterfront. Hopefully will come back to be what it used to be here in Lawrence Harbor, Cliffwood Beach area. We have one of the most beautiful beaches in town, and I think that half the town doesn't even realize that it's there.
Yeah.
So Memorial Day might be a good day for folks to come down, get a look at it, and see what we're doing.
That's a good thought. You know, Mayor, you and I have talked about the Lawrence Harbor beachfront quite a bit, and we were over there. Been a while. We probably should go back over with the cameras again. But what is happening over there? You see
Well,
any?
Margaret Creek is in the process of getting cleaned up right now. Our next phase is going to be the jetties and the seawall. And our goal, everybody's goal, is to get those fences down
Right.
and to give people access to that waterfront again.
And
where
really-
it's contaminated.
They've got the contamination pretty much cleared up.
In Margaret's Creek.
Yeah, Margaret's
oh,
Creek.
Yes,
Margaret's
but there's a
Creek,
lot
yeah.
more cleaning up to do along the jetty where the
lead.
lead ingots are
Yeah, I mean right
embedded.
behind Hoffman's.
Yeah,
that's
wherever
the
you
area
see the
still-
fence and it
There's still
continues
fence
down.
going to be, yeah.
But we're committed. The town's committed. Unfortunately, you get involved in these big. There's a lot of litigation going on. The town
there
is
really?
involved in litigation, so I'm limited to what I can say.
Right.
I don't want to make things worse.
No, I'm sure.
But I think the goal for everyone
And I
is to
think-
get that cleaned up.
To the mayor's credit, he's been there many times. So
Yeah, we come down there,
glad for his participation down there. Really great. Yeah.
Yeah, we have not been over there in a while. We have brought the cameras over there with the mayor a couple of times, but we haven't been there in a year or two, I guess. Mayor.
And
We should
and
probably get
Sandy
back
didn't
there.
make any. Didn't help any.
No, I remember
But the
Sandy.
boardwalk has been rebuilt.
Yeah.
It's constantly evolving, but it's evolution. It's not revolution down there. We still have Paul's Beach. We need some work down there. With some of the houses that were bought out, they need to come down. So we're working on it.
Okay. John, you mentioned you're a tour guide on the Intrepid. You just
Yes,
touched
sir.
on it briefly a moment ago.
Yes, sir.
It's got to be a very interesting job.
Absolutely interesting. I love the camaraderie with all the staff. There's probably 120 volunteers
Really?
on board the
Wow.
Intrepid,
Yeah.
and maybe 15% or so are actually former crew members like myself. And a lot of people come, they're veterans from other services, or family were veterans, so they'll come and they volunteer on the Intrepid. And then the other part that I really love about it too is just meeting people from all over the world
Right.
and sharing their stories, because so many of them have been in the military in their countries.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
what an
point. Yes,
exchange
sir.
of information. It's just great.
Of all the exhibits you have there, of all the various planes and capsules that are on display, the SST is on board there too, I believe.
Right. Yeah.
Shuttle.
What's
You
the
have a
most
shuttle?
popular attraction?
Well, probably the space shuttle is
space shuttle
that's on
itself,
board.
huh?
Yeah, they have a giant canopy over there with the space shuttles inside, and that's an adventure to get in to see. Also on the pier deck, there's also the Concorde, which, as you know, they went out of
Oh, yeah.
business, but the Concorde's there, and that 2 hours and I think 58 or 59 minutes from London to New York, so that's quite an exhibit as well. The Growler is the submarine that's there.
Is that there as well, really?
Yes.
Alongside, right?
Yeah, parked right alongside, and that's quite an exhibit as well. I recall on one occasion when some friends from England came over, and he happened to be in the Royal Navy submariner for 10 years, and so I was, I'll take him and show him the submarine. He actually showed me every nut and bolt on there. He knew it. I thought, wow.
Mayor, have you ever been there? I've never visited.
Yes, I
Have
took,
you?
when
How
my
was the
kids were young, I
experience?
went there, but
keep
I have to
saying.
get back. I really have to, I really need to get back. John, we have to hook up a tour.
That's good. You'll love it. Yeah,
I know I'd love it. As my grandson gets a little older,
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
he'd really
yeah.
enjoy it.
And it's not a half hour, an hour. It's an all
It's a day. It's a whole
That's what I
day
was just
event.
saying to John. I want to take my grandson over there because he's a real gadget guy. He's 14. He's a real
Yeah,
gadget guy.
perfect age.
And he'd love it. He'd love it. I got to get over there. John, one last thing, if I may.
Yes, sir.
You've been chosen as the Grand Marshal of the parade.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you?
I'm honored, absolutely honored. What an opportunity. And you know, one of the things I realized that the military and everything, but as the mayor touched on too, don't forget the police officers in this town. These guys are great. They do a job. And I would like to tell everybody, don't be afraid to come up to a police officer and say, thank you for your service, sir. You really did a great job. And the firefighters, don't forget to mention the firefighters and the EMTs, EMS. It's going to be a great day. I think we need to honor all of these people. Many of them gave their lives. We can all remember the incident that happened at the World Trade Center.
Yes, sir.
I actually watched that buildings come
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
from my backyard. You know, I live in Cliffwood Beach.
Right.
And I actually saw that come down. And you know, we lost hundreds of good police officers, firemen.
Well, it is a great day. I think, Mayor, as you said, it's a great day to commemorate those, you know, less of a celebration and more of a memorial.
I
to the
misspoke when I
people,
said it's not a
I have more of a
celebration at all.
memorial to those who've
Yes.
fought and
And
both living and
especially
dead.
we remember those, you know, from Old Bridge who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
Right.
As I said at one of the council meetings a few weeks back, we found 3 additional,
Yes.
you know, young men killed in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully by next Memorial Day we'll have something to
Okay.
remember them and their families.
Well, good. Well, John, we want to thank you for coming in today.
Thank you, sir.
We want to thank you for your service. We want to wish you a very prosperous Memorial Day parade. And folks, to that point, I just want to mention about the Memorial Day parade. It's on Monday, May 28th. It takes place on from Memorial School along Lawrence Parkway to the beachfront. Leaves at 9 o'clock. So get over there, as the mayor said earlier. It's a great day. It's a great visit for everybody to come out and see, particularly to see John in action. And John, thank you again. And folks, this has been Old Bridge Outlook for this time. I'm Gene McLaughlin. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.